On this episode of the Mothman and the Bible Belt podcast, Adam Nohe, Jack Thomas, and Ryan Aliff of West Virginia-based stoner heavy metal band Horseburner dish on their new record, Voice of Storms. The working-class heavy metal band discuss how they juggle full-time jobs while also managing to write, record, and tour across the country. The band divulge on how they assemble a set list, what inspired some of their songs, and who gets the most panties thrown at them. Coming up next.
Welcome to the Mothman in the Bible Belt podcast with your host, Buck Fantastic.
Girl Scout cookies.
Horseburner blasted onto the music scene in 2009. Kelly from Parkersburg, West Virginia, the stoner metal band had been compared to the likes of Mastodon and Baratus. Thus far, the band has released 3 records, including the EP Dirt City and full-length records Dead Seeds, Barren Soil, and The Thief. Their new record, Voice of Storms, which drops June 21st, is an ode to female oppression across the barricades of time. Guitarist Matt Stroebel was unable to participate in the interview. Join me, your host, Buck Fantastic, for another exciting episode of the Mothman in the Bible Belt. It's eclectic chit-chat of otherworldly origins. Welcome, Adam, Jack, and Ryan, to the Mothman in the Bible Belt podcast. How are you guys doing?
Hey, Buck.
Hey, doing great.
Doing pretty good.
Horseburner brands itself as a stoner metal band, which leads me to my first question. What is y'all's favorite strand of weed?
We don't smoke. We're not really a stoner band.
Yeah.
We just kind of get put in that scene and we like the people in it. So
Do you think West Virginia will ever move towards full decriminalization?
I'd like to think so.
I sure hope so. That'd be great.
I would be very shocked if I see it, but I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So y'all are a Parkersburg-based band?
Jack and I are from Parkersburg. Ryan's from Morgantown, a couple hours northeast of us. And then Matt's from Huntington, a couple hours south of us. So we're kind of split up like that.
A few years back, y'all recruited Hillbilly Death Ride guitarist Matt Stroebel into the Horseburner family. What sets Matt apart from your previous guitarists?
Well,
He's definitely got his own unique style of playing, and he's a very I'll put it this way, he has a very big personality when you're hanging out with him.
And I mean, he is a great dude.
He is.
We love Matt.
He's a fantastic person.
Matt has, and I don't think he would mind me saying this because he talks about it publicly. One of the reasons he doesn't like to do these interviews is because he struggles with Tourette's and he's afraid of, looking goofy in one of these interviews, something like that. But we love him.
Without going into too much detail, like some of the new stuff, he was really pulled out all the stops in some of the new stuff.
Ryan, you're the newish bassist. What were you playing? Who were you playing with before you got into Horseburner?
So I was playing bass in a band called Torrance, which had another previous bass player, Mike Lorenzen, and he's playing a band called West by God, and also another band called Iron Jaw Guru. Well, anyways, it was kind of that's more of like a stoner rocky psych rock kind of project. That was. I still play with those guys. We are a little bit in a reforming a little bit, kind of changing directions of how that band's going to go. But yeah, we just released a new album with that project like last year.
Adam, who's been with Horseburner the longest? This is Jack's baby.
Well, we were in a band together. We were in several bands together in junior high and high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then in like summer of 2008, our other band was kind of calling it quits. And Jack and myself, and then Zach, who was in Horseburner until 2019, we decided to start a new band together, and it was this.
Yes, along with Spencer.
And then
then
so the bass player of that band joined up with us too. After we were jamming for a couple weeks, he was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll play with you guys too."
Yeah.
So it was 4 of the 5 members kind of just made a new thing.
You got a new record coming out on June 21st, Voice of Storms. You've dropped the first video from the release, The Gift. What can Horseburner fans expect from your new record?
It's definitely we're always trying to push things forward. I feel there's more complexity, there's more layering. It's a concept album like the last one was, so there's a big overarching story to the lyrics.
Adam?
Yeah, we're all prog nerds, and we all love Rush and all those bands. And Ryan and I are big Coheed and Cambria fans, so storytelling is a big element in our music. So I'm all about drama and over dramatization when it comes to those things. Like everything is very almost melodramatic, but there's like a seriousness to it that I feel like us as individuals are not very serious people. But as far as the music goes, yeah, it's definitely kind of like a fantasy sci-fi novel, in my opinion, in music form.
In your press release, you state, Voice of Storms is an allegorical commentary on the mistreatment of women across history. It's the story of a girl being sold into child marriage who is imbued with the spirit of ancient Greek hunt goddess Diana, unleashed and wreaking havoc on a society that regards females as objects or currency. That's deep.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that's a little bit complicated because I'm also, while I have women in my life that I care about and I listen to their stories and I kind of take those in and internalize them, I'm also not trying to like white knight the situation and take over their story for them and be, the whole like white savior thing that people do. I'm not trying to do that because in the end of this story of the record, it's still a male perspective on a female experience, if that makes sense. So it's more Kill Bill revenge style tale than anything. I'm not trying to like, make myself the face of a movement or anything like that. Just kind of telling stories.
Ryan, what's your favorite tracks on Voice of Storms?
My favorite tracks? Well, I may be a little biased on a track called Silver Arrows, but that'll come to light when that album comes out. But other than that, yeah. So these guys were kind enough to let me have a bass solo track, which was really cool for me, and I got to play a little bit of upright bass on it too. So there's a little bit of that going on with it, like electric bass solo and stuff, and it's a really cool, it's just an instrumental track. It's kind
very atmospheric.
It's atmospheric, kind of like a transitional track. I love that, of course. But my absolute favorite, I played 4 notes on the whole track, but it's called The Fawn. And these dudes go so hard on the vocals. Is it the Fawn or the Stag?
It's the Fawn. The Fawn.
The Fawn, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, these dudes did a beautiful job with the vocals for it. I get chills every time I hear it.
So did you all write this together or like separate or with outside collaborators or?
Kind of all of the above.
Yeah.
Ryan joined kind of towards the
probably about
middle of writing.
halfway through the writing process is when Ryan joined the band. I think we maybe had 3-ish songs already written when he joined.
I joined, y'all were like, yeah, so here's some songs and bass parts, go for it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, have fun. So I mean, with Jack and I playing soloing together, some of these riffs, God knows how long some of these riffs have been around.
I have just a stockpile of riff demo recordings on my phone dating back for 6-7 years now.
Oh my God, there's a riff I finally got to use too on this album that I've been holding back for at least 8 years.
Yeah, it's just.
Did y'all consider covering Kate Bush's "This Woman's Work" for this record?
Oh man, we need to go back and set everything back up again and hit the record button. So
it would sound, it just sounds like it would be a perfect if y'all metalized it and rocked the hell out of that song.
We could call our engineer and get rolling on this. I think.
Yeah.
He'd probably let us start tonight. He'd be real excited about that.
Yeah. Shout out to Neil at Amish Electric Chair.
So where are all the women in heavy metal at? I mean, you see, it's like for the most part a male-dominated music genre.
I think that going back to kind of the themes of the record, I think that we have a habit of kind of pushing our way to the front of the line.
Yeah.
But there are so many just amazingly talented women that are in the scene, and I hope that they get the spotlight shown on them.
Summit Point immediately comes to mind.
There's a band from down in the Huntington area called Summit Point. They're amazing. You got Heavy Temple, which is one of our favorite bands.
Heavy Temple.
Absolutely.
You got Savage Master. You got Lady Beast up in Pittsburgh. We got Temptress from Texas. We got Warhound up in Pittsburgh. Spotlights is great. Yatra is great. Yeah, there's
a lot to list off, but women are still very much underrepresented.
Yeah.
In this in this genre particularly, but like even just in the broader rock landscape as it is.
For sure.
Yeah.
All I remember growing up was Vixen.
I mean,
That's sad. It's
Oh, yeah.
sad.
You're in
Yeah.
Ryan's territory with that.
yeah.
Who produced Voice of Storms?
That was our friend in Athens, Ohio, Neil Turry, who owns Amish Electric Chair Studios, who we've worked with a couple of times before, but this was the biggest project by far that we've done with him. We recorded about half of the previous album with him. We recorded drums and bass at his studio,
And then he mixed it.
and then he mixed it. But we recorded like guitars and vocals and like various overdubs in my home studio.
This time we did the whole thing with Neil,
Yes.
except for like a couple of synths.
Yeah, we
lines.
recorded a Soundgarden cover for a compilation with him back in 2022, I want to say. And that was like such a positive experience that we're like, okay, we absolutely trust you to handle this entire thing.
And like that was the first time I've ever done any like actual studio, like for real studio stuff. You know, like I don't know, it was a really cool experience for me. And he was just great to work with for someone like me who was such a novice at that kind of thing.
It's really easy to feel comfortable in Neil's studio.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
He's a good friend. I would consider him a good friend, but at the same time, he's a tremendously talented engineer. And yeah, we kind of took him on as co-producer too, self-produced, and then co-produced with Neil. And I think we got something that all five of us are really proud of.
Jack, how long did it take to record the record?
Oh, geez.
I'm having flashbacks.
Once we actually started tracking, I think we had basically a month booked at the studio, and it ended up being more like 6 or 7 weeks after that, just going back and forth every day.
And it was crazy because we lost a week of recording time because of some health issues.
Yeah.
So I had gone the night before and set up my drums, and I was at the studio till about 2 a.m. Then I drove an hour home, and then I went to work the next morning. I'm a school teacher, worked with kids all day, waiting for the call to go record. And then he's like, hey, we can't do this. And so we lost a week there, and we started it the next week, and we're in like hyper focus mode. And then but while being hyper focused, also being super scattered. And so there was a lot of driving back and forth and a lot of sleepless nights.
I can't remember how many nights I've stayed there, but I stayed until all my shit was done.
Is it expensive to record a record nowadays?
God, yeah. And
Are y'all doing? Did y'all use reel to reel, or is it all digital?
This was all digital, but with Neil's particular method of working, and it's the method I prefer to, is that you work in the same way that you would if you were recording reel to reel. So you get as much of the sound going in as possible. You don't rely too much on post-processing necessarily.
There's like no plugins or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like, actual analog stuff, but just using digital to capture it.
Yes.
which is interesting because originally we had planned on recording this in Illinois at an analog reel-to-reel studio. It just didn't happen.
Schedules didn't work out for that to work.
So far, what's Horseburner's crowning achievement musically?
Is it cheesy to say this record?
It's very cheesy to say this record, but it's also true.
What famous rock band would you guys love to open for?
Famous rock band? Does it have to be a current one? Like, can I say Thin Lizzy?
Are they even still playing?
No.
Oh,
But if we're talking dream territory, yeah. What about you guys?
yeah, Jack.
They have the same
You're-
answer.
I mean, Rush is also not.
Yeah.
That's not an option.
No.
Ryan?
Baroness would be cool and it would make sense. Or
I think Mastodon would be a good choice
Yeah,
for
I
us.
think so.
Yeah.
Have you all got to meet any of your musical heroes yet?
Oh, sorry, Al. So the year I joined this band, we got to play something called Ripple Fest, Texas. And since I was very young, I've been a huge fan of the sword. And we got to play with the sword at that festival, and I about shit. And that was so cool.
And then a month later, they broke up, and I think that's our fault.
Yeah. Well, we won't talk about that part.
They saw us play. We're like, if that's what we've influenced, we're out. We're done.
Jack, how do you maintain your voice with all that heavy, growly singing?
Yeah, how do you do that?
Oh, geez. I don't know. I think it's dumb luck some nights.
We've also done a lot of shows where we haven't had full voices, and we just kind of
Yeah,
deal
you
with it.
just kind of have to power your way through it if it's not there that night. So some days I'll just I might get the first 2 songs and then my voice just goes out and it's just all kind of like yelping for the rest of it. But
Oh, Adam, you sing some too.
Yeah.
Do you have a vocal regimen to keep your pipes in tip-top shape?
No, because I'm stupid. I do drum warm-ups because I'm, a lot of injuries in my time on this planet. So I'm like trying to make sure that I can still play. And I'm a fairly intense drummer. But I don't do
Fairly intense.
I play really hard. But I don't.
He hits the drums like they've done something wrong to him.
I don't do a vocal warm up, and I really should. I really should.
yeah, me too. But
Jack,
my vocal warm up as of late has been like a shot of Jameson and whatever beer is cheapest,
Mhm.
and like, that gets it loosened up. It seems, which is probably not the healthiest way to warm up, but
That's the rock and roll warm up, dude.
yeah.
Jack, who do you model your vocal stylings after?
Oh man. I always really wanted to sound like John Baisley of Baroness, but my voice is just not in that same range that his is. So mine's probably like a good half octave higher than his.
So, who came up with the name Horseburner? Where'd you get it?
That would be our friend Matt, not Matt that plays guitar in this band.
Mhm.
Matt Barr, who plays drums in Jack and I's other band, Phasm. I'm pretty sure he came up with it, actually.
Yeah, just throwing around names while watching wrestling on Monday night,
Back in 2008.
So, what music did you all grow up listening to?
A lot of 90s country was played in my house. The Beatles, Elton John, Eagles.
Ryan?
Yeah, very similar. Except for like I was raised by my grandparents, and so like we had like a lot of the '60s and '70s country. We had a lot of that stuff. Like we really big into the whole like outlaw country era too. They were, but Creedence Clearwater Revival, the Eagles, Leonard Skinner. Whenever I found my grandpa's Leonard Skinner second helping cassette, and I was like, "What's this?" And he's like, "Oh, that's some bullshit I used to listen to." I started listening to that, and I was like, man, this is serious. I want to do that. So like, I started as a guitar player. Man, I love that kind of stuff so much. But yeah, then like you branch off from there and had to hide my Iron Maiden and Pantera CDs to not get in trouble.
Jack?
Yeah, my house had a lot of Grateful Dead, Allman Brothers. My mom was really into like Van Morrison, Paul Simon, kind of
Hell yeah.
songwriters of that nature. I feel like there might be a lot of Simon and Garfunkel influenced vocal harmonies on the new record, by the way.
Are you all remotely excited about this year's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees?
I don't. I don't follow
Who
that.
is even in it this year?
Okay, here's the list of inductees. Big Mama Thornton, don't know who she is. Jimmy Buffett, he's dead. Cher, Dionne Warwick, Peter Frampton, Foreigner, Ozzy, Dave Matthews Band, Mary J. Blige, A Tribe Called Quest, Kool and the Gang, John Mel, Alexis Corner, Norman Whitfield, and MC5. Don't know who that is.
That's a fantastic list.
I mean, yeah, that's a pretty solid list.
Yeah,
that's the best list I've heard in a while.
I don't pay attention to the Hall of Fame
but I mean,
anything, but
I haven't
put Cher in anything, and I'm on board.
that's one of the better classes I've heard of.
I haven't paid attention since they finally let Rush in.
Yeah, like the very last surviving member of MC5 just passed away very recently. I think.
Like last week.
Yeah, last week or something.
And Ozzy's not already in there. I mean, I'm sure Black Sabbath is.
Yeah.
But his solo artist stuff isn't in there yet. Good Lord, he birthed a million great guitar players. I feel like that went their own ways, and of course we lost Randy. But like, God, how is he not already in there? He's just so iconic, and like his solo stuff stands alone so well.
But I also think things don't super matter.
Yeah,
yeah. Ultimately, no, it's just
like Dionne Warwick, awesome, but I don't need.
It's more of a feather in the cap,
Yeah,
I guess. There.
Yeah.
Who should be in the Rock Hall that isn't?
Howling Giant.
We'll go with that. Yeah, we're pulling for Howling Giant to make it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, class of 2026.
I think they'll get it.
I think they got it.
I think they got this.
Jack, how do you all go about assembling a set list before touring?
You just kind of go by feel, honestly. The way I like to do it is like not have two songs back to back that are too similar to one another, like similar tempos, or like you don't want to have like two really fast songs in a row or two really slow, gloomy, depressing songs in a row. You want to kind of vary it up. I like to start out with like a more up-tempo thing whenever possible, but not always.
Do y'all prefer that fans buy from iTunes or Bandcamp?
Bandcamp for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, they definitely give artists the biggest cut, the most fair cut, I would say.
That's
Instead
what
of
I heard.
fractions of a penny per play or whatever it is that every other streaming platform does.
How do you all feel? Speaking of that streaming, how do you all feel about Spotify paying music artists and songwriters so poorly for plays?
Like, it sucks, but at the same time, it's one of those things that gets your music out there and available to people. So, I mean, I'm for it because you can discover a lot of great stuff, you know, accidentally in a playlist. That still happens to me sometimes.
And like, I'll find myself do that, and then I will end up purchasing physical media.
Yeah.
You know, like kind of use it as, I know that this isn't the typical usage for Spotify, but a lot of times I'll use it to kind of discover stuff and see where to go from there. And then I'll actually buy physical media from the bands and stuff. But you know,
There's been a handful of times where I've heard a song and then immediately went to a web store and ordered an LP.
yeah.
You know, if the music speaks to you enough, then I think people will do that. I think it's kind of always been that way because growing up kind of playing punk and hardcore and stuff like that, you know, you found what you could find in kind of the infancy of the online music scene. And then you'd go to like this label's distro or whatever. And I feel like it's kind of similar to that. It's the new download.com. It's the new mp3.com.
It's really just a continuation of the record industry from like, you know, the 70s, 80s, 90s,
You're single
early
on the radio.
2000s. And where, you know, at least back then, the artists weren't really making any money from album sales either. Like they had to go on tour. That's how they made their money, from touring and selling other merchandise.
Do you find that your fans are more prone to download music versus purchasing physical media?
Well, I think when you get into vinyl records, you know, there's an expensive upfront cost if you're doing it independently, which we have before. Like before we were signed to any labels, we pressed vinyl records ourselves, and they sell. When you're out there on the road and you're meeting people face to face, they buy things.
And I feel like that's a very genre specific, not genre specific thing to us, but like a lot of the like underground artists and like heavier musics, a lot of the fans really enjoy having the thing you hold in your hand, you know?
Mhm.
Like, I'm a little younger than these guys. So like, I feel like I'm like part of the last generation to like go into like a music store, record store, whatever, and like look at album art and be like, I bet this sounds cool. I'm going to buy this. And I feel like a lot of people like, you know, they go out to the show and be like, God, I gotta have the thing I can hold, you know, and I feel like that really still matters to people that like the underground stuff and the heavier music and all that.
But more than anything, we're just t-shirt salesmen.
Yep.
Yes.
When y'all are touring, do you all like rent out a camper or like go in a Volkswagen or do a bus, or how do you all go about doing that?
We drove for about 6 or 7 years. We had a 95 Ford Econoline 15-passenger van, and that just died on us.
Oh,
About last year. So we have a Dodge Sprinter now,
Which we can stand up in. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's about the same length, but it's taller now, so we can fit a little more in there.
It feels so luxurious, even though
Yeah.
It's pretty bare bones. There's no insulation or seats in it, but
ooh.
it was laying on the
we're
floor.
just laying on couch cushions in the back.
I've never been more comfortable in a van, though. My God.
It's great. It's great though. So far, it's great.
Now, some bands like it. I know the older bands don't like it because they don't like people seeing their crow's feet and all that. Do you all like it when people record you all live and put you up on YouTube?
Yeah, go for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I get a kick out of
Every
it.
little bit helps.
Then I get to see what I messed up, too.
Yeah.
I gotta work on that.
It's always interesting to see how much faster I played than the album.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every band has its heartthrob. Who in Horseburner gets the most panties thrown at him?
Jack.
I think Jack's the only single one, so
When was the last time that's never happened? Who am I kidding?
What's your favorite venue to play outside of West Virginia?
oh dude.
Oh, no.
There's a list, right? The Bovine Sex Club in Toronto is one of my favorite places on earth. The Mag Bar in Louisville is one of my favorite places on earth. There's Space Bar in Columbus.
Space Bar.
That almost doesn't feel like not West Virginia for some reason.
Yeah.
Just because like
Ace of Cups in
feels like
Columbus
home.
is great. The Union in Athens, Ohio.
The Union.
Home base. There's just so
Squirrel Hill Sports Bar in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Great.
Run by a good friend of ours.
Gooskies in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Even though
spot.
they were still allowing indoor smoking for the longest time,
Everywhere.
and you couldn't breathe, but it was
Yeah.
a great place to be. Night Shop in Bloomington, Illinois.
Night Shop was a great
Mhm.
time.
What venues in West Virginia does Horseburner did play?
I mean, there's 123 Pleasant
123.
Street.
Legendary venue in Morgantown where Ryan's from. 123. They've been around forever in different stages. The Lao in Huntington, formerly V Club. Lot of good memories there.
There's not a ton going on right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we just lost one.
That's the sad reality of this, is that the venues come and go.
Yeah, we just lost Music on Main in Bridgeport.
Mhm.
Like they just got started, but that was because of a technicality from the local government. It really
Mhm.
sucks.
One of the reasons that we even started touring was back in the early stage of the band is because there wasn't much to do at home. So we just hit the road and found places to play.
Yeah.
Ryan, what's your favorite West Virginia band or music act?
Favorite West Virginia band or music act? Well, it's I have this really bad habit of joining the bands I'm really big fans of. Shit. I don't know, man. I have so many friends and so many great bands. It's really hard. I have a hard time nailing down like an absolute favorite. So me and Jack have another project. It's like a thrashier death metal band, and we played with this band called Lord Humongous, which has members of the Jasons in it. And I'm a real big fan of their stuff.
Adam?
I'm gonna cheap out here and kind of ditto what Ryan's saying. There's just two, for the last thing I said of like there wasn't anywhere to play at home really. For saying that, there is so much talent in this state.
It's insane.
If I had to pick a current favorite from this state, I'm probably gonna go with William Matheny. He is not only one of my favorite West Virginia songwriters, he is one of my favorite songwriters and a lovely person to boot. So, gun to my head, right now, I'm going with Billy.
I forgot what they came out.
Adam plays bass in a pop punk band called Becker, who I love, and I've also recorded everything they put out, and I still go back and listen to them all the time.
He's our co-producer.
Yes.
How did COVID impact y'all's touring and
Oh no!
recording life?
COVID ruined everything that I've ever wanted.
Yes. How didn't it impact?
We had to cancel our first European tour because we had plane tickets. We were about 2 weeks away from getting on the plane to go to our first European tour when the borders shut down, and I'm still mad about it.
I feel like 2020 was going to be a particularly big tour for us, or a big year for us touring wise, and it's just nothing,
Because 2019 released the last record, and that had been our biggest touring year, and 2020 was gearing up to be like twice as big, and we played, I think, 6 shows, and then everything was done.
I was listening to some of your past records. I want to talk about some of my favorite Horseburner tracks. Joyless King. The guitar work and the vocals are killer. It sounds like a little bit like, this is not an insult, I like the band, a little bit like Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Was that what y'all are going for?
That's an incredible comparison. Yes.
Can we tell you something real quick?
Yeah.
When we first started Horseburner, one of the reasons that we didn't quite like get out of the gate for a little while is because after a couple months of practicing, we were like, hey, what if we got some more friends together and we made a Trans-Siberian Orchestra tribute band? And we played shows through like 3 years worth of Christmas seasons and did like canned food drives for entry cost. We called ourselves the Trans-Appalachian Orchestra.
So I feel like we couldn't not take inspiration from them in a way. It's like, through just sheer osmosis, honestly.
And Sabotage is great too.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yes.
Hand of Gold, Man of Stone. What inspired it?
Lyrically, I don't know. That was that song started with one of Zach's riffs, and it just spiraled from there. Lyrically, it's just kind of a classic folk hero kind of thing. Like the long lost son has come to prominence in a far off land. That's kind of the story there. Musically, I don't know. What were you guys digging on?
Oh, geez. That was so long ago. Yeah, that definitely started with Zach's like riff idea that he came up with.
Oh, I remember. That the opening riff of that song, Zach had been listening to a lot of Skeleton Witch.
Yeah. And then you tried like, I don't even know how many drum parts before you figured out just
Just bash away, 4 on the floor kind of thing.
bash away on the kick and snare.
Yeah, I definitely tried to overcomplicate it, and then it was just like, nope, it's a thrashy riff. I'm just gonna play a Neanderthal drum part, and it works.
What about The Oak?
That's my favorite song off The Thief.
That's mine. That's my second favorite song off The Thief. I can't really say much 'cause I didn't play on that album, but I got to experience that album from a fan standpoint, so it's cool to me.
Yeah, that was a fun one to write. That was just another get the 3 of us or maybe 4 of us in the room that were in the band at the time and just kind of
That was the last song we wrote for the record.
Yeah, that song was very structurally, it was very stream of consciousness. It was just kind of like, okay, we have an opening part. How does it flow from here? You know, so there's no real like verse chorus kind of thing. It's just kind of like what's okay, this part that we wrote feels good. What would feel good to come after this?
And then like we got to mix in some more of the progressive elements that we had been wanting to do. There's like a 7/8 time split in that song somewhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of like synthesizer overdubs that we had never really messed with before.
That song was kind of the direction that I wanted to take the next record in, but then ended up the next record didn't happen for 5 years. So taste change. That song was another one though, The Oak, where Zach wrote the first riff, and I remember he was frustrated, and I laugh thinking about it now. He was frustrated because we were really, really having writer's block, and he was like, "Oh yeah, what if I just do something like this?" And he just like angrily played the opening part, and we were like, "Do that again," and it stuck.
What was the inspiration behind Fathoms?
Fathoms, that's kind of like the I don't know how to put this, but that's kind of the climax of that record. It's real fast and thrashy in the beginning, and then
kind of follows our old thing we used to do where like every song would end in this really big part. But I also had asked Jack in the writing, I was like, hey, would it be really cool if you ended a song with like a 2-minute guitar solo? And he was like, okay, fine.
Yeah, I was like, I'll try it. I'll see what I come up with.
And he did. He killed it. It's still one of my favorite songs to play.
Yeah, I took a lot of inspiration from Alex Lifeson of Rush and Bill Kelleher of Macedon on that closing solo.
So Adam, you're a teacher. Does the rest of the band have like full-time jobs or?
We're all working stiffs.
Yeah, I kind of have like, it feels like 3 jobs.
Yeah.
I was like, I have a 9-to-5 job at a law firm. I drive Uber and also do guitar repair.
Right. Yeah. I'm a full-time gig worker essentially, like delivering for Walmart, DoorDash, Uber, whoever will have me.
Matt takes care of disabled adults.
Is it difficult to plan your touring schedule around all that?
Yes.
Oh,
very difficult.
Very, yes.
It's difficult getting practices, with 2 of our guys living away from us,
It's like a damn near 4-hour round trip to come to practice.
Yeah. So the day jobs really suck, but what can you do?
There's gotta make money somewhere.
I don't. I don't.
Gotta make a living.
Teaching is an interesting profession. It's a lot of things. It's never boring.
Okay, now I have a 5 questions. Who wants to take it?
Ryan,
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan. Judas Priest or Motorhead?
Judas Priest.
80s heavy metal or 90s?
80s.
Did Napster destroy the music industry?
According to Lars.
Was Prince really Warner Brother Records' slave?
I don't know, but yeah.
Is it ever socially acceptable for a graying middle-aged man to dye his pubes?
Hey, do what you want, as long as they're purple.
Do y'all got any upcoming gigs y'all want to plug?
Absolutely. We are doing a release weekend with our dear friends in Howling Giant.
Who's going to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yeah, future Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, Howling Giant.
So we're doing June 20th in Columbus, Ohio at Space Bar. We're doing June 21st. It's the actual album release day in Parkersburg at Tracy's Pub for the first time in 5 years. We have not played Parkersburg in over 5 years, so we're coming home.
Fun fact, I played at that show too, but I didn't play in this band. I played in my other band at that show.
We got June 22nd at Capone's in Johnson City. and June 23rd at the Poorhouse in Raleigh, North Carolina. We got June 8th in Athens, Ohio. We got June 28th in Buffalo, New York, and June 29th in Youngstown, Ohio at Westside Bowl.
I want to thank my special guest, Horseburner, for giving listeners insight into the world of a working-class West Virginia heavy metal band. Watch out. I see great things happening for this band. Voice of Storms is out on June 21st. You can watch videos for The Gift and Hidden Bridges on YouTube. You can follow the band on Facebook, X, Instagram, and stream their music on Bandcamp, Spotify, and YouTube. For upcoming tour dates, music, and merchandise, check out www.horseburner.com. For Mothman and the Bible Belt podcast outlet updates, guest bios, episode breakdowns, and links to social media, please check out www.mothmanandthebiblebelt.com. Thanks for listening.